Hey. What's going on? We back with another edition of the ATL Three Style Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Leo G. And as y'all can see, we back in the building together. I got my boy Banks in the building, man, to do a podcast for y'all today. What's up, Banks?
What's going on, Leo? What's up, folks out there, internet land? We back up here ready to do another episode. What's going on with you?
Absolutely, man. This ain't no AI. We actually in the same building today, man. You know, feeding off the energy, man. So we got a lot to talk about today, man. So it's not going to be live. This is a recording of all you guys that like to watch us on Tuesday nights. So this is a recording, but we're definitely going to get into, sports as we like to do it. Ain't that right, bro?
Absolutely. Our favorite thing to do in the whole wide world is talk about sports, and let's get right to it.
Chop it up. That's right. Before we get into it, Banks, we still got to give a shout out to our guy over there, Eastlands, man. So we're going to go ahead and shout him out, man. Y'all go ahead, man. He does some excellent work. Y'all see the QR code up there on the screen. Our boy Phil over there at Eastlands. He's still doing this thing. And like I said, we got some other partners that we're currently working with to try to feature some of their products as well on the ATL Three Style Podcast, man. So definitely shout out to all our people out there trying to make it happen. If you didn't know, if you hadn't watched the episode before, I got a couple of things here, man. My boy, he does good work, man. Got a little custom boxes you can see with my toppers for my bourbon. We like to drink a little bit, man. So, put that over your Glencairn and keep the bugs and the dust out. We enter into summertime, Banks, man. So we got a lot of grilling going on. I know a lot of people probably gonna be outside chilling, kicking it, man. So you can get you something like that while you out there on the grill working, man, to cover up your Glencairn.
Hey, some summertime, like Will Smith said, brother. Listen here, we about to get one of the months what they used to call the dog days of summer, about to hit us here in the ATL. So let's get prepared for it, I guess.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Get your sweat rags out because I sweat like crazy. So I don't know, I guess it's everyone's favorite time of year, I guess.
I don't know if it's my favorite time of year.
Definitely not mine.
I like spring and fall, I think, are my favorite times of the year, man. Get them cooler temperatures or whatever. Right now, it's still relatively on the cool side here in the 8th, so I can kind of deal with it, man. But when we start getting into like July, into like you said, the dog days of August, yeah, it get hot, man. You know what I'm saying, around here in these parts, man. So it is what it is, man. But rolling into the summer, like I said, just past Memorial Day, man, just past graduation season as we move on in for closer to the fourth holiday in July. So, man, we're doing our thing, man. And right now got a lot to talk about here today when it comes to sports, just in general, man. So first thing first here, Banks, man, we've been talking about this on several podcasts. World Cup. We've talked about this for the last couple of years, man, and it was coming to North America. And guess what? We are literally like 3 days away. 3 days away from cranking that thing up, brother. It's going down, man. First match is actually going to be on June the 11th. Like I said, that's going to be on Thursday, and it will take place in Mexico City, featuring South Africa and one of the host countries, Mexico. We here, brother. We are here. The World Cup is upon us, man. We talked about the excitement and how it build up. I think now I'm getting a little more excited, man, to get this first kick under the belt, man, so we can see like a whole, basically several weeks of world competition soccer. Ain't that right?
Absolutely. I think World Cup is more of a most anticipated event around the world. I recall back a couple of years ago, the last World Cup, people were just affixed to their TVs, just no matter who they had their rooting interest with, it was like, we just got to watch, we got to see who, I can't say it was bigger than Super Bowl, but I will say it's big enough where it's like the Olympics, but condensed. And it's almost like everyone's watching. Everyone's watching. Everyone's got some kind of rooting interest in it. It's exciting. I'm ready. I can't wait to see it.
It is, man. It's always intense. It's always, like you said, the world is watching, man. That's why it's called the World Cup. Obviously, nations from all over the world are going to be represented here in North America. If you've been living under a rock, United States, Mexico, Canada, we're going to have games here. The final will be obviously in New York. Atlanta will be hosting the semifinal, man. So we really can't wait, man. And it just gives us something to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Of course, obviously, we love baseball here in the States, but, World Cup only comes around every 4 years. I remember the last one we had in Qatar. It was in the wintertime, basically, because they had usually, traditionally, it's in the summer, right? But they had to move it to the winter because it's so hot over there in Qatar. And we watched it. And like I said, man, you fired it up. You're going to have games on pretty much all day from the time you wake up to the time you kind of go to bed, man. So speaking of which, Banks, man, let's talk a little bit about the USA. since, you know what I'm saying, we are here in the USA, let's talk a little bit about the home team. They will actually have their first game on Friday. It's going to be in Los Angeles against as they take on Paraguay, man. So the United States, big expectations. Of course, for all three of the North American teams, Mexico, Canada, and the US, big expectations on them in this World Tournament. But their first game cranks up on Friday night, 9 o'clock out in Los Angeles. Banks, you told me on the last podcast, man, you were ready to see the USA crank this thing up, man. So first game, man, against Paraguay, man. How are you feeling?
Absolutely, man. I'm excited about it, man. About to get pull on my red, white, and blue. About to see what these guys can do. I just had a couple of questions for you, though, Leo. Going forward to this World Cup, United States, I really need to, brush up on my basically the kind of what's going on with the teams. Can you tell me what's going on and what they have to do to be in their group to at least put a showing out there to advance, if you will?
Man, absolutely, dude. There's been a lot of things that has transpired with U.S. soccer if you follow U.S. soccer, man. Of course, obviously, Banks coming off the heels of a very disappointing Copa America a couple years ago. They were not able to advance. We thought they were. Copa America is another one of those tough tournaments between, North America here with the North American teams and South American teams, somewhat Central America, obviously. We got knocked out group stage, weren't able to advance. Very disappointing goal. So after that happened, there were a lot of changes that were made. Greg Berhalter, who was, obviously a player for the U.S. men's national team, he was the coach. He's out. They look for a new coach. Now bring in Mauricio Pochettino. I hope I pronounced his name right. Who is, who's had a lot of success in international soccer. Obviously, the PL. He brings a new look to this team. He brings new eyes and new tactics. So that's something that the U.S. men's national team wanted to do, is bring somebody new in that will be able to take this squad a little further. Banks, this is a young, very, very young squad. So you go all the way back to 2022 when we did play the World Cup in Qatar. We did actually make the round of 16. Got put out by the Netherlands, but that was a relatively young squad. I think the average age at that time was about 23, 24 years old. Now you're seeing most of these guys that are still together, and they're going to be playing in this World Cup here on this soil. So now they're a little more seasoned. Most of these guys play international football, so they understand how this works. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Pochettino can do with these guys, man, moving forward.
So basically what you're saying is there's a chance pretty much to advance past the round of 16.
And into the round of 16, yes, getting out of the group stages. That's what we want to see from the United States. I mean, obviously, the United States has not been a traditional powerhouse when it comes to world soccer, but these guys, and I say kids because they're still relatively young, they have a shot. You have a lot of great talent on this team, and most of these guys play international soccer, so they play against the best talent in the world. You got guys like Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic. I mean, they play overseas. They play in Europe. Christian Pulisic, at I think it's AC Milan. Weston McKennie playing for Juventus, a very, very highly coveted international team. Tyler Adams was playing over at Bournemouth, I think. Just a lot of guys on this team, man, that can compete at a high level. Tim Weah, just to name a few. I can name the whole team, but we don't really have all that time. But yeah, man. So the expectations, for them to get out of the group stages, I think are there. I think they can pull that off and just let the chips fall where they may. I think there's going to be a lot of juice for them playing on home soil and playing in front of the home crowd. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? Starting out in LA. You're in LA, all the bright lights, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's going to be on you. Playing against a tough Paraguay squad, man. Obviously, we know a couple of names on that Paraguay squad. Does the name Miguel Almiron ring a bell?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so he'll be playing for that Paraguay squad out there as we watch the United States take them on. And, the pronunciation Paraguay, I don't know how it goes, but that's what we playing in the first game. So Group D, the United States actually drew Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. So that's a pretty doable group stage, in my opinion, to get through. So looking forward to that.
Well, you had mentioned something about expectation of basically getting out of the group stage. Do you feel like going out of this particular group today, this United States group, do you think that getting out of the group stage is the ceiling, if you will, or is that something to like expectation, like we want to go past the group, go past, whatever? What do you feel like is the main goal? Well, we know what the main goal is, but what would be successful?
I think at
this group.
Yeah, I think at this point, man, if you a USA men's soccer national team fan, that the ceiling is trying to make it to the semifinals here in Atlanta. Like real talk, I'm not trying to be delusional on anything, man. You're on U.S. soil, and we know that these guys compete. We do. Can we get there? It's gonna be tough as hell. This is one of the toughest sports tournaments. Literally, it's the toughest sports tournament in the world to win. It really is. But can these guys compete? We know they can compete at a high level. We just got to see where they are and where their expectations are. I know they're thinking, hey, we can go all the way to the damn finals. But we have to see, what they can do going out there and just pushing it. So, Banks, to answer your question, obviously, no, I don't think the ceiling is just getting out of the group stage. I think the ceiling is trying to push themselves and will themselves all the way to the semifinals. And it's gonna be tough. I know a lot of soccer people will say, "Man, oh yeah, you crazy." But I mean, they can compete. I think with any team in the world. I mean, obviously, you got the likes of Australia. I mean, not Australia. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Argentina. We play Australia in our group, but Argentina, obviously. You got Spain. You got England. Those are gonna be the top tier teams, no matter what. You got the Samba boys coming out of Brazil. Those are gonna be your top teams. Uruguay. And I think they can compete with those guys. So we'll just see, let the chips fall where they may, man, and see what they can do in order to meet the expectations of possibly making it to the semifinals. But that's where I'm at with them boys, man. Hopefully they can pull it on out.
Well, just like the commercial that I saw recently about the two guys talking about the World Cup in the United States, and then one guy was like, "Well, the United States don't have a shot." Well, guess what? The guy from the 1980 hockey's team had something to say about it. So listen, anything can happen. You talking about going to the semifinals and playing Atlanta. Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, that would be a dream come true for me. For
everybody here in the States, it would be a dream come true to see the United States men's team make it to the semifinals. Something that I don't think they've ever done or accomplished. That would be totally awesome. And all the teams here playing, all the host countries, I think, have that same mentality, right? Canada and Mexico.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're Canada and Mexico are going to be our rivals, man. But they're going to be having some high expectations as well from those teams trying to advance as far as they can, man. No matter the geopolitical climate, this is going to set up to be a great World Cup and a great tournament for us to watch. Banks, a couple other things before we move on into the show, man. Obviously, I don't have on my USA kit right now, but I have on another kit, and I'll talk about that here in just a second because I think that it's something pretty cool that's happening in this World Cup. Guess what, Banks?
What's that?
We got 10 African nations, the most that have ever represented from Africa in this World Cup. And I think that's pretty cool. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I think, I assumed that it was the same countries every year, but I guess you taught me something just a second ago. So that's very cool. That's very cool indeed.
Man, listen, I have on these boys from Senegal, man. I know what they can do, man. One of my favorite teams out of Africa, man. Always, man. Sadio Mane, shout out to him. One of my favorite players. Obviously, man, there are a lot of players that come off of the continent of Africa that play international football and they're well known. But, just to name all 10, I'll go ahead and do that. You got Morocco, you got Senegal, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Cape Verde, South Africa, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, who qualified through an international playoffs. They're actually going to be in there, and that's going to be cool. Banks and Cape Verde, and I want to say the Congo will actually be playing here in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say South Africa too. I have to go back and take a look at the tournament, but I know for a fact the Cape Verde and the Congo will be playing right here in Atlanta, which is very significant, man, because those fan bases are going to be out of control. I would, Banks, when we finish the podcast, man, I challenge you, go Google the Congo fan base and Google the Cape Verde fan base, man, and what they're going to bring and how they're going to come and represent their countries here.
You're kind of late because I already did.
Okay.
Cape Verde, I was kind of intrigued by that team because they are playing here in Atlanta against, I think, Haiti, I want to say.
We have to double check.
Well, needless to say, I have people in my circle in my job who are Haitians, and they are looking forward to they keep talking about the matchup against Cape Verde. I'm like, what's so? I had to do my research, had to go in and see what they're talking about. And I just happened to fall out of this rabbit hole and see all these Cape Verde clips. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what's coming here to Atlanta? I'm like, yikes. So yes, it is going to be exciting to see. I'm definitely going to do other teams so I can kind of get educated and see what kind of fan base we're looking at. And everyone has their own different style. And I think that's very unique about each country. And I think that's kind of interesting to me anyway. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was correct. South Africa will be playing here in Atlanta as well. And I'm trying to get the info here on Cape Verde and who they actually play here. So we got Haiti that's actually playing Morocco, if I'm not mistaken, here. So it'll be Haiti and Haiti plays Morocco here in Atlanta. So that'd be pretty cool, man. Haiti, one of those teams in North America that would be pretty, be pretty interesting to see. Yeah, I'm not for certain. I'll have to go do a little more research here to see who Cape Verde is actually playing here. They might be playing Spain here, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's who they're playing. So yeah.
But they're saying basically, is that the same group that's going to be here in Atlanta, pretty much?
Well, no. So they're going to be kind of circulating the groups. They'll be playing around. So if you're familiar with the World Cup tournament, what'll happen is you have your particular group, but yeah, they're in the group with Haiti, if I'm not mistaken, but they'll be playing all over the country. So it's not like that group will be playing actually in that one city. So like I said, the United States will be playing a game in Los Angeles, and I think their next game will be in Seattle, and they'll be kind of moving across as the tournament proceeds. So it's not like you'll be set up in one place. Right. You're gonna have to ride. So some of these teams are gonna actually have to go from east to west. I think they set up a tournament to where they wouldn't have to travel like that. I think they're gonna be set up west, east, and whatever the case may be. But I do know that it's gonna be pick up and go. So you'll play a game on Monday, and it's just like watch a professional. If you pick up a game on Monday, and then Thursday night you might be in Houston or you might be in Philly if you're playing in Atlanta. So that's the cool part about the World Cup tournament, man. So like I said, a couple of days away, man. Very excited about this first kick and excited about a couple of teams, man. I challenge everybody to go out there, man, and do some research on the United States. And then, Banks, I challenge you to pick you another squad. I know you said you've been doing some researches with some other squads. Obviously, you see, I follow Senegal, I follow the Samba Boys in Brazil. So do some research, man. Get you another squad to have in the game, man. A vested interest other than the United States, man. And you'll have a lot more fun watching this tournament, brother.
Got you. Well noted. And I am currently in the process of doing that. I have people in my ear, this type like, are you going? I'm like, no, I don't think I am. With the ticket prices the way they were, but everyone was like trying to think I'm some kind of plug because I'm a season ticket holder in that same stadium from another team. But they think that I have these access to these tickets. Leo, I don't know what they told you.
Man, you the man. You the man,
I'm not the guy. But now that I see that ticket is a very hot ticket, now I need to figure out what's going on and figure out what's so special about it for why I got to give these tickets out to these people. So,
man, like I said, it's big, man. We, from a level of, like I said, we follow sports in general, Banks, man. Sometimes we get in our own bubble and we don't understand how big some of these things are, man, across the world. Like I said, it's the World Cup. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there are a few people that follow the NFL. And when I say that, there are a few people that follow the NFL, meaning us. But like I said, everybody in the United States might know who Patrick Mahomes is, but everybody in the world knows who Lionel Messi is, right? So it's big, man. So like I said, man, it's the draw of it, man, and this is what it's all about, man. So exciting stuff coming up here, man. Listen, we're gonna pivot a little bit here, Banks, man. Talk about a couple of things that have transpired, man, that led me to a great rabbit hole question for us to discuss, man, here in Atlanta, right? So on the last recording, man, the last podcast that we did, we found out that Drake London got payday, brother. Did he or did he not get paid?
Absolutely, brother. I mean, the man got 4 years, 140 million, maybe 150 million. I guess
in incentives.
In incentives, okay, with $100 million guarantee. The man got his bag. He's the third highest receiver in the league. Good for that, brother. I'm glad he got what he got. He deserves it.
Man, I believe so as well. Before we get into this topic, though, Banks, just to circle back around to this whole Drake London conversation about him getting paid, and you just said it was well deserved. There were some people in some circles that said that this was not warranted, man. But you just said that you feel like he deserved to get this money. We know that somebody else is gonna have to get a payday here within the next year or two. Do you have faith in this Falcons front office that they're looking at this long term and they felt comfortable with giving Drake London this money?
I'm confident to where I know what Drake London is. I think it was timing. It was all about timing. It was just time to get paid. What were you going to do? You're not going to extend him and then let him test the market, and somebody else scoop him up, and then listen, the man has done what he's been asked to do. Okay, he's been playing with quarterbacks with the likes of Mariota and
Desmond
Ritter
Ritter.
and Kirk Cousins when he was broken, by the way, and and he still pull up those numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's impressive to me. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he did his thing. So imagine him playing with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
So I mean, I listen. I don't know all these people thinking that he's getting paid. He doesn't belong. Listen, he was going to get that money regardless. Okay,
Whether it was here
or somewhere else, he's going to get that money. Okay, it was his turn. He got it. Let's move on. Okay. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know what this big thing about, people feel like you got to get paid. Well, I feel like you should, you're not this particular, you're not a burner, okay. I don't want to hear all that. He's a receiver. He's a well-known receiver, and people outside who is not Falcon fans will tell you straight up, he's nice. And
Listen, yeah.
Look, he got what he deserved. He got exactly what he deserved. So, I don't even know what that's all about.
Listen, Banks, I go out as far on the limb to say, man, one of the probably best possession receivers that we have in the league right now. I mean, he is a big target. I mean, he's come up with some clutch catches for Atlanta. I mean, obviously, man, our records have not shown, the greatest year here in a couple of years, man. But we watched this man in some games come up with some clutch catches, man, clutch first downs, clutch touchdowns. So yeah, I'm with you, Banks. I'm on that whole same boat as to the man was gonna get paid. I think the front office has a vision. They have a clear plan, and obviously he's a part of it, right?
Absolutely.
Like you said, though, the fact of the matter is that we've had a revolving door at the quarterback position. Obviously, that needs to change. I think if you get some consistency at that position, we'll see probably a lot more out of that guy, which is crazy to say that his ceiling could go a lot higher if we have a consistent quarterback here. That's crazy to say.
Not forget, the man was hurt last season, and he still was doing what he was doing, and he didn't even supposed to be playing in some of those games.
No, he was.
Okay, so let's remember now he was hurt. Okay, and he fought it out, and he still gave us what he felt like we need to do to be a winner that particular week.
Yeah,
and look, he did his thing, And like I said, even a healthy Drake London, let me tell you something. I guarantee you, I will find 5 franchises right now that will take Drake London in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying the top of my head. I can probably call you 5 teams right now to be like, we'll take Drake London from you.
And real talk, man, as quiet as it's kept, man. Well, not as quiet as it's kept. I'm gonna go back at him, man. Shout out to our boy Derrico, man. I never will remember on draft night when we picked him up. His thoughts. I'm not gonna go back down that rabbit hole of what he said, man. But listen, Drake London has lived up and surpassed everybody's expectations in this city, man. Because Derrico had some crazy words to say on draft night when that guy got drafted, man. But I think that he has exceeded everybody's expectations, man.
He made a believer out of me.
He made a believer out of all of us, man, for real. So shout out to him, man. So let's talk about this topic, man. Just segueing over into this, man. Drake London just got paid his money. Listen. Where we are here, we're at a kind of impasse here in Atlanta sports, man, trying to figure out exactly like who's the face of Atlanta sports, man. We have had the opportunity to see a lot of, great sports legends here in this city come through, right? You go all the way back to guys like Hank Aaron, to, Pistol Pete, if you want to start talking about earlier in the NBA, then you move on to people like Dominique Wilkins and Dale Murphys. Then you start talking about, of course, prime time. You start talking about Deion Sanders, and then you move into, the era of Michael Vick. I mean, so we've had a lot of, what we call faces of Atlanta when it comes to sports. So now, as of right now, man, we're at a point where I was thinking to myself, like, who is the face of Atlanta sports, right? I mean, I don't know if there's just a defined person that we can actually call out. But if we had to make if the gun was to our head, who is the face of Atlanta sports now? Who is it? I got several people that I put on the list, Banks. But I mean, where do we even start?
Well, you don't have to go too far. It's Bijan. Bijan Robinson is the number one running back in the league right now in the NFL. Okay, I mean everyone's talking about they fantasy and who we got another B Robinson on our team, and it was like, well, here comes the confusion. How many people are going to draft this Brian Robinson instead of Bijan Robinson? Listen, Bijan Robinson is the face not only for the Atlanta. I think he's becoming that face of the league. He was up for the Madden cover. If everybody didn't know that, Caleb Williams ended up getting it from the Bears, but they were talking about Bijan should have had it, but neither he's that dude. If I would put him 1A and then probably 1B, it's got to be Ron Acuna.
Yeah.
Ron Acuna's out there tearing it up. Even though he's not even having a great year, he's still most feared leadoff guy in the league. Okay, so I mean, yes, that we have our faces still as we speak.
I mean, yeah, I think I'm with you on that regard, in that respect, is the fact that I don't know, man. I kind of get a little confused. Bijan Robinson obviously is a great player, right? I mean, as quiet as it's kept, man. But do you think he's gaining that national notoriety and that thump? But I mean, is he like really there yet? I mean, we know about him here. He's done, we see the highlights, we do it. But does he have that like national thump, or is he still waiting on that national thump?
Well, I think his reason why he has really just been that crown, that guy. Because I mean, the Falcons records, we haven't really had a team that gets to the playoffs consistently. Yeah. But for what he has shown on primetime games,
yeah.
Okay, I mean, he's done it 2 times on national TV where he has basically put the league on notice. Like, this is who I am. You better have more than 9 people in that box to stop me. And he has made people look stupid. I mean, they have that overhead camera just for him.
Yeah.
And the league, and not just the league, I mean the national pundits, the media, they love that view of him juking you out of your shoes overhead, and it looks so dope. They put it in slow motion, and it just makes it worse. It makes it completely worse. And that right there, and if you can put that on top of the Falcons, just be consistently a winning team, that will put him over the top.
And they'll give him that thump. Yeah, man. I mean, here in Atlanta, man, like I said, Bijan, I think, we would say here as fans, give him, the whole 1A, man. I think we put him at the top. Ron Acuna Jr., obviously, man, has been doing his thing for a while. He does have a ring to show for it as well, even though most of that 2021 season, if not all of it, I think he was hurt.
Right.
Yeah, but, he's been doing his thing here consistently, man, in Atlanta. So you have to kind of put him up there as well. I think you have to put Drake London up there as well, right behind Bijan Robinson, man, as being, now, him getting his money, but he's been consistent. Like I said, not as much of the playmakers and the making the plays, I guess, as far as Bijan, that you see the highlights and the clips. But he's been a guy that's quietly made a name for himself in the city as well, man. I got a couple other names here, man, just to throw out, man. Obviously, Jalen Johnson with the Hawks, man. Where does he kind of line up when it comes to being the face of Atlanta sports?
Yeah, I don't think he's there yet. I think people are trying to rush him along, since Trae Young has left. I think it was kind of unfair to him. I think that New York playoff game kind of exposed him a little bit. Yeah, he was doing his thing in the regular season, but when it got to those bright lights, he kind of shrunk, and I think it's all about experience, and I think as he come along in his career, I think eventually he will be that guy, eventually. But right now, I'm going to have to say no.
Okay. I mean, I feel very strongly about Jalen. I think that, eventually he will become that guy. I mean, there were conversations, man, that, like you said, once Trae left, the spotlight was pretty much on him. But like you said, in the playoffs, I guess, he didn't really play as big or up to the expectations as we thought he would. So he needed some help. But, you'll get there, man. It's a process. It takes time. For some people, they walk into the door, man, being that guy. And for some people, it takes them a little bit of time to continue to push that, man. Obviously, another name that I had on this list, man, somebody that just came to Atlanta and obviously is representing the Atlanta Dream, is Angel Reese. Angel Reese is her own brand anyway, right? She's been her own brand after leaving LSU in college. Started up in Chicago. Now she's here in Atlanta. Is she like, I mean, she just got here, but longevity, if she stays here for a while, man, because she is seen to be one of those faces of Atlanta sports, man.
Absolutely.
Or the should say face of Atlanta.
Well, I will say that her brand alone is carrying her. As you can see, every game that the Dream plays, they got a whole segment of her walking into the stadium or whatever she's going in, legs and all, and heels. Well, yes, absolutely. I love it. But I think what Angel Reese is bringing, like I said, she came into the league, Bayou Barbie. Now she's ATL Barbie, saying she already got that moniker already, and she only played but a few games here in Atlanta. Like I said, she should be here long term. She will be that person. I mean, listen, we already had Ryan Howard here. We already had Alicia Gray, who was doing their thing nightly.
Yeah.
Okay, nightly. But here comes Angel Reese, and she's already demanding attention on the court. She gets a double every single game.
Yeah.
And like I say, each game that I've watched, she's getting better and better. Because I guess the gelling of the team, she's doing her thing. And like I said, once it's just year one from her. Year one. Let's do year 2, year 3, when she still got her craft. And like I said, the marketing of her is already done. She don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
She's gonna be there. She's going to absolutely be there.
Absolutely.
She would absolutely be that face.
I think so as well, man. We'll just have to see and follow her career as it goes on. She's relatively young as well. But some big shoes to fill, obviously, with the names that I came out with, man. When you start talking about, Hank Aaron, Dominique Wilkins, you start talking about the Dale Murphys, you start talking about the Deions, the Michael Vicks. I'm going to put this person in this conversation, and I know probably people go to the Matt Ryans. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are big shoes to fill, man. Those people really, really put, all those people I just named, Banks, put Atlanta on their back. Literally. They literally put Atlanta on their back.
Absolutely.
And I get one as far as soccer is concerned, too, as well, man. Even though the soccer team is relatively young, man, a guy like Brad Guzan, man, obviously, man, when you think of Atlanta United, you think of a couple of players, Joseph Martinez. But, Brad Guzan came into this thing, man, won a championship, and he finished out his professional career here, man. So you could even put him up there as being one of the faces when you talk about Atlanta sports as well with Brad.
Yeah, you walked into that stadium and you saw his big picture on the wall. That right there, that showed that he was the face. I will miss him. I think when he came in, I call him as the OG of the team. Originally came in. It was exciting to see him, do those crazy saves. It was just
standing on his head, man.
Yes. So, yes, you're absolutely right. He was one of those faces. Joseph had a special place in my heart. Excuse me. He had a swag when he was here. He had that special swag, even during that championship game. He just had that. That putting out a cigarette at the bottom of the shop. I just thought that was special. That right there, that embodied the city. You know what I'm saying? And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Absolutely, man. So those are some of the names to just throw out there, man. And as fans, man, we love them, man. Like we always talk about, man, like these are the guys and gals that can go anywhere in this city, man. And, they're not paying for drinks. They're not paying for meals. They're not paying for nothing, man, because like, that's just, this is kind of how they roll, man, in this city. And we start talking about these people, man, how much they mean, how significant they are to this city, man. So listen, I think right now, me and you both are on the plane that, Bijan, it's Bijan's to be had for quite some time. We know he'll probably end up getting paid and being a Falcon for a while, man. If he continues to perform at this high level, I think we will see him be the guy here in Atlanta, man. So, shout out to him, man. It's just one of those things I wanted to talk about and go down that rabbit hole to see, man, like who do we feel like right now is the man? So or woman. So listen, Banks, man, as we had this conversation, man, NBA Finals. We'll talk a little bit about NBA Finals and another topic of conversation that I want to talk about since we talked about the NBA Finals, and I think it's kind of relevant, right? New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, we're going in the game 3 right now. Knicks up 2 games. 13 wins since they took the last L from what team did they take an L from in the playoffs?
They lost to the Hawks. They
They did
game
lose.
three.
They game 3 for the Hawks. They did. So that's the last team to beat them in the playoffs was the Hawks. They haven't lost a playoff game yet. They take this back to Madison Square Garden after taking the 2 games down there in San Antonio. Banks, man. Your thoughts and your feelings on what the Knicks and what we're looking at with them going into game 3.
Whatever they did after that game 3 against Atlanta, you know, they did something. They tweaked something and it works, you know, and kudos to them. You know, they figured out, you know, their strengths, what they need to do, and they are riding it. Okay. I always said, you know, that I thought OKC would have been a better matchup for New York. San Antonio got in there and beat OKC in game 7. I think what you're seeing between these 2 games in the NBA Finals currently is experience. I think San Antonio has done a lot of boneheaded moves throughout those first 2 games, and it showed. And it, you know, when you're on that big stage, you can't make mistakes, you know, and think that you're gonna be okay. Good teams find a way. They get a chance, they're gonna bury you.
They find a way.
And guess what? I had to say it. You know, I had to bring it back up. You had to find a way. But in that case, they found a way. You know what I'm saying? Listen, again, back to that game 3 against Atlanta, they adjusted and they went through Philadelphia, they went through Cleveland, and now they're about to go through San Antonio.
So you think this is over? This is the foregone conclusion.
I will say
Knicks in 4.
Listen, I'm just gonna say it's not looking good for San Antonio. Can they win tonight? Absolutely. They absolutely can win, but they're in a good spot. New York's in a good spot to where they went to San Antonio and won on their court both games, and they did it to the point where they were in control. You know, they got in that 4th quarter, they took over the game. Like I've never seen such lopsidedness of a team that just wants it more, you know. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, whatever they did, whatever adjustment they did after that game 3, they riding it. They riding it, and they see somebody can stop it.
Listen, man, you know, as much as I hate to say it, man, I mean, New York is on a whole nother level right now. It's the way they're playing. And the way that they're doing it is absolutely crazy. Like, they've blown people. We've seen them literally blow the doors off teams like the Hawks and the Cavs. And then we've seen them come back from 18 down to close games out and win. 13 down, 18 down. So they're doing it in all phases, man. It's not like they're just doing it one type of way. They're doing it everywhere. They're coming back.
The entire team.
Everybody on the team.
Everyone's contributing.
The depth, everything, man.
That's the big missing thing that everybody keeps saying. It was, you know, Towns and it's Brunson. No, it's everybody.
OG, man. You got OG. You got Robinson come off the bench. You got a lot of guys, man.
Yeah, like I said, it's like that's why I was saying, you know, San Antonio got to dig down, you know, and try to figure out how they're gonna get this game. They have to get this one.
Oh, it's not without a doubt.
To get this
without a doubt.
If not, then yes, it's over. It's over in 4. So I feel like, you know, going forward, you know, Wemby is a special player. I think eventually, he will get a championship. I definitely believe that in my heart. They are built to the point where they're going to keep that team together, and they're going to figure out, you know, a guy like Wemby ain't going to be ringless. You know, I mean, that right there, I got another, you know, conversation about Wemby and when we drafted our 1st round pick, and then the 1st round pick that went to Dallas the very next year. You know, I got my feels about that with the league, but we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, we'll swing it back around.
But yeah, Wemby, he's a special talent. Definitely a special talent. I think he will be one of those players that we're gonna be talking about in the future of being one of the greatest.
I do too, man. I think he is a special player. I think that right now, like you said, Banks, it's the experience factor, and it's a lot of other different things, man. Listen, I think this game 3 is literally, man, you know, if San Antonio can't come out tonight and win this game 3, man, it's pretty much a wrap. Let me tell you something, man. New York is going to New York. This is going to be a rabid on a whole nother level game, man. Everybody that's going to be at Madison Square Garden is the energy is going to be through the roof. They know that if they can will the Knicks to this win tonight, that it's pretty much going to be a deal. I don't think San Antonio they're built to where they can win 4 in a row. to close out against the Knicks.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I want them to take one at least, man, to show me where they are as a measuring stick of what they can be, like you said, Wemby. But man, it is going to be. If you would have got one of those games in San Antonio, I said, okay, you know what, you got a fighting chance up in New York. But now it's all hands on deck. Y'all gonna have to fight like hell in order to, you know what I'm saying, try to get one. And if you're gonna get one, you gotta get it tonight, or it's a wrap. But I'm gonna tell you what, if the Knicks get this one, best believe they're going for blood in game 4. And they gonna see home.
If they win tonight, game 4 is all but over.
Yeah.
I can't imagine New York will want to go back on a plane and go back to San Antonio. It won't happen. So yeah, this is a very important game for San Antonio. I think that, can they do it? Absolutely. But I think this is something that you really have to play your best game of your life.
Yeah.
And like I said, the light is going to be the brightest.
Not just the best game of your life, the rest of these games in this series.
Well, absolutely.
You have to show up every night.
Don't worry about the rest of the games of the series.
It's just this one game tonight. Focus on this
tonight.
Is
the most important one ever.
It's tonight.
San Antonio Spurs. So
absolutely. We talked about this here, Banks, man. We got a small market team versus a big market team in the Knicks. We kind of was like, damn, how did we get here, man? But just a little basis on that, man, for a lot of, the young cats I heard that don't really know this, man. I think we did the research. San Antonio was one of those teams that came back out of the ABA. So yeah, you look at San Antonio as a very small market team, but they've had an NBA team for quite some time now, man. But they end up right, if I'm not mistaken, coming from the old ABA that we had back in the day. Is that correct?
It's ABA with 4 teams that came over. Antonio Spurs, the Indiana Pacers. It was New York Nets, now Brooklyn Nets, and Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets. They came over from the ABA when they were actually absorbed. Yep.
And the small market teams like in San Antonio Spurs, and you got a big market in New York, it's always that lopsided. Then you had the 2 small market NBA finals last year with OKC and Indiana. So, I think, basically with people around, not just, the NBA itself, that people are just happy to see a big market team in there, of New York or Boston or LA, or Dallas, whatever. They just want a big market in there just to, I don't know what that's all about. I guess the money thing, I don't know. But I think that's what everyone's really like, yes, we got one of them, one of the big markets in there,
Speaking of which, Banks, it's a good way to segue into the next topic here, conversation, man. You talk about big market teams. When you talk about big market teams, you talk about fan bases, right? You talk about the teams that have these big fan bases, man. Listen, we'll talk a little bit about how we feel about these fan bases here in just a second. But I'm gonna just say this much. I'll have a little bit of fun with this, people. Listen, the Knicks are here. They hadn't hosted the finals in what I want to say, they said like 27 years or something crazy like that, man. So I was out and about this weekend, Banks. Let me tell you something, man. I have never in my life, and I've been watching basketball, and I've been living in this city for a long time, man. I ain't never seen this many Knicks shirts and jerseys and hats in this city. Now, I know we got a lot of people from New York that live here in this city. But, Bank, when I tell you, I see other teams' paraphernalia on a regular basis, but never have I ever seen this many Knicks t-shirts and hats and jerseys in the last couple of weeks, man. I think it may have started after them beating the Hawks in the first round of the playoffs, and now it's just out of hand. We go to a concert Saturday night. I'm seeing people, and it looked like they pulled these from the back of the closet. It's like they ain't going fanatics. They pulled these Knicks shirts and jerseys from the back of the closet, man. Ewing and
let me tell you something. This is a true story. At my job, you got people that come to work not in uniform. They come in full Knicks gear. Knicks jersey, Knicks hat, and then they change into their uniforms later on. Excuse me. But I feel like, people, like you said, they live here. They live in Atlanta. They migrated from up north, either it was just recently or years ago. But they have that northern ties. They might not even be from New York City.
Or their parents.
They might be from
here.
I slipped New York, or they might be from Buffalo, New York, or like you said, they might be from College Park.
And their parents,
no, their parents are from East Point. They just here, So, you always got the fan base that will the small percentage of the fans that they just gonna pull for whatever the big popular
the hot team is.
So to have at it. Have at it. If that makes you happy, have at it. There's no loyalty anymore when it comes to like a real fan. I know who real fans are. You know what I'm saying? They're not as loud, but they are loud. The ones that are extremely loud and obnoxious are the ones who probably don't have no ties with the Knicks at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do you?
And we come from a generation, Banks, where we come from where regional sports actually matter. We talk about this all the time. We talk about fans, man. Like for a long time, there wasn't the NBA League Pass. There wasn't the NFL Sunday Ticket. You only saw your market team. You only saw the teams within your region. The only time you got to see teams is when they made the playoffs or when they actually made it to the championship. So you didn't get a chance to follow a lot of teams. So you had legacy teams, and I think you look at teams like Boston, specifically when you talk about the NBA. You look at teams like Boston. You look at teams like the Lakers. Of course, obviously they picked up a lot of fans along the way because they were very dominant. Through the 80s and the 90s. You look at Chicago, even though right now Chicago is in a kind of in a holding pattern when it comes to basketball up there, but you still got a lot of Chicago fans,
and they
right?
Still love them. They still love their Bulls.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you go back, back in the 80s and early 90s when NBA on NBC, that came on every weekend, and they had those same teams.
The Bulls, the Pistons,
always the same
Knicks,
teams every single weekend. And they made sure that you watched those teams, the Bulls, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Knicks. You're going to see those teams every week. And guess what? You became a fan of them.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's, hey, that's the whole setup of what these fans are today. And you could even say the same thing about the Superstation here in Atlanta
with the Braves and then WGN, the Superstation with the Cubs.
Right. Exactly. And you have this big following of these teams. Like you go to a random baseball city in the West, and it's a lot of Braves fans. You're like, how's that possible? Well, TBS is the problem. I mean, it's the cause of that.
And another thing is too, just like to piggyback off what we were talking about with regional sports, like you became a fan of the team of the region that you lived in. Obviously, yeah, you did have powerhouse teams, and you had when the Superstations came into play in the 80s with WGN and TBS. So you had a lot of people that follow the Cubs and the Braves. But now, Banks, you bring it all the way forward now to 2026, man. You can be a fan of whoever you want to be because of the access that you have to those teams and those markets, right? I think if you looked at this from a perspective of 30 years ago, and you look at a team like OKC in a small market, you would not have access to watching OKC, right? Yep. I mean, yeah, and if you had OKC fans in Atlanta that was not from Oklahoma, we could literally single them out and say, the only reason you're an OKC fan is because they made it to the finals and they made it to the championship.
It was very easy to do that.
It's very easy to do that.
Very easy to do that.
So I mean, that's how it is now, man. It's like you have access, I mean, I remember back in the day, man, going to the mall. Yes, there was a place called the mall where you had to go get your gear. You weren't seeing all 32 teams. You weren't seeing all the teams in the mall. You gonna see the Lakers, the Bulls. You gonna see a couple of teams in there, and that was it. You wasn't gonna have access to buy OKC jerseys back in the day, even if they won a championship. Now with Fanatics, man, I can order OKC jersey. Boom! Tomorrow I got OKC jersey, hat, banners, everything in my house, and I can rock
to buy me a Utah Jazz jersey. I will be here in 3 days.
Absolutely. So it's just a change, man, and the climate of how fans are today, and what we see out of fans, man. It just amazes me how the evolution of fans and just how we came along. Like, hey, man, regionally, Falcons, Braves, Hawks. That's what we are. You know what I'm saying? But now it's not so much, man. You have so much access when it comes to the internet, and so much access that you can actually put your hands on different things that you don't have to really follow your regional team anymore. And a lot of people have said, you know what, hey, my regional team is doing well. I can follow a team that's 2,000 miles away and be a fan of them. And more power to them. It is what it is. We're gonna still feel some type of way about it, but if that's what you want to do, to each his own. Banks, speaking of fans, let's talk about this here, man, before we wrap this show up. Passionate fans, we had this conversation about where do we see fans and where they are and what grouping that they're in. So the first thing I want to talk about is, like, what city has the most passionate fan base? And I'll go first, man. I'm biased, of course. Obviously, I think Atlanta has the most passionate fans in all of the country. Like, and everybody's gonna challenge me in every kind of which way, and as well they should. But I feel like Atlanta has very passionate fans here. But I want to take a city kind of outside the box. And I look at this city, man, and I kind of, I have family there and I have people that are fans of all the teams in the city. And it's a very small market city, obviously. But I want to go out on a limb and say Pittsburgh, man. Pittsburgh, in my opinion, has some very passionate fans. They've had some very successful franchises there. The Steelers obviously come to mind when you talk about, successful franchises and just the epitome of blue collar working town, and their teams exemplify that as well. So when I think of passionate fans, the first city that comes to mind is Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? So for you, Banks, when the word passionate fan comes to mind, what city comes up for you as being like the city with the most passionate fans?
Buffalo and Sabres hockey and Buffalo football team. When you see that fan base jump from the top rope and jump through a table,
jumping off school bus,
and they actually travel with their team, and it's something about what they went through as a franchise. I'm talking about the Bills. They still hung in there, and they still have that same energy they had. Even when they had the lean years, they had that same. It never faded. It never wavered. It was always the same all the way through, and I think that's passion. Yes, you can say that's the only thing they have up there. Well, yeah, I can have that same argument with other cities with one or two sports they have in their city. You can say that about Green Bay. I don't think they're as passionate as Buffalo, but I think they come together. They come together and they will rock your stadium if you let them. You know what I'm saying? So, I can go down a whole list of the different teams that I feel like are more passionate than others. It's funny you should say that. I always felt that when you talk about anything above the Mason-Dixon line and everything under it, it's a completely different demographic. When you talk about fans, you talking about fans in Miami. Yes, they love their Heat. They love their Panthers now because they've been winning lately. Dolphins, okay, but let them lose a couple of times, that stadium or arena is empty. Yeah. And you kind of scratch your head. It's like, what happened? But you flip the same script and you talk about a team like you said, Pittsburgh. You go up to Pittsburgh and let's say the Steelers or the Pirates or the Penguins are having a lean year and they still sell out no matter what. Cleveland's another city. You can look around the Browns and be like, oh, they suck.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, they still have it's a different. You still have fans up there. They be in that dog pound still barking. You know what I'm saying? So
you do.
And listen, I can take that same franchise and put them in a city down south and that stadium is empty. Okay, let's keep it a buck.
I mean,
Listen, what Cleveland Browns been going through over the years, it will make any fan base be like, the hell with this. I'm not going to put up with this crap. But then they still come up there every Sunday and they still out there barking like crazy. Yeah. Case in point, I don't want to bring this team up, but I'm gonna have to. You talking about the Aints down there in New Orleans? They love their teams down there. They will sit there and no matter what that team is doing recently. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this since I'm about to prove my point. If a particular team, because we know what that fan base was before that Super Bowl, okay, they wasn't as passionate as they are now. Okay, I remember going down to that arena, that dome, whatever you ever call it, down there. It was half empty, and we Falcon fans took over. Yeah. Okay, we took that.
We still take over. We still take over.
Now,
let's make that clear.
I feel like a particular
Mercedes-Benz West, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? If you win a Super Bowl, you win a NBA championship, you win a World Series, that fan base is going to grow. If it's with bandwagon fans, it's just going to grow. This is how people are. No matter what, when the Braves won that championship in 2021, the Braves fan base grew. You know what I'm saying? It grew. It didn't have to. I mean, I saw a big uptick of fans. Okay. Seattle Seahawks just won a Super Bowl last year. It's a big uptick of fan. I never met a Seahawks fan until after that Super Bowl. How is that possible? Where did you come from?
I mean,
but that's human nature. You know what I'm saying? It's human nature. OKC won an NBA championship last year. I've never met a OKC fan until last year. You're a fan. You're a fan. That fan base is now on an uptick. You know what I'm saying? You got people they go on they fan message board and they feel like they're entitled to different things. You know, I'm like, but you wasn't winning just a couple of years ago. Now all of a sudden you got a championship. Now you feel like you can say what the hell you want to say. I can say that for every team in sports, every single team.
So Banks, like I said, it kind of piggybacks off of what we said, man, about how like things have changed, man, since the regional era of sports, and how you can only like follow a couple of teams, man. So as the ebbs and flows of the fans and their passion as well. So listen, Banks, let's move and talk about some of the most obnoxious fan bases here before we close this thing out. I know we kind of pressed up against the mark here, man. So I start here first. So if I had to pick the most obnoxious city, and I circle back around to you want about the South, but I'm gonna just talk about the most obnoxious fan bases, and I'm gonna list the top. It was 1A and 1B, and then it's a number 3 honorable mention. So 1A goes to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is my 1A of most obnoxious fans. Okay, and I said what I said, obnoxious fans. Philadelphia fans are very obnoxious when it comes to their city and when it comes to their sports. I don't know why, but they just are. I'm gonna give them 1A. 1B is gonna go to New York City. Very, very obnoxious fans. Yeah, I said what I said. I go to a lot of sporting events. I've seen a lot of New York teams come here and play the Falcons and play the Hawks and play the Braves. And when it comes to being obnoxious, you all are at the top of the list. Doesn't matter if you suck, doesn't matter if you're good. The level of obnoxiousness stays the same. You know what I'm saying? So 1A, 1B obviously goes to Philly, and in my opinion, New York. And honorable mention at number 3 comes in with New Orleans. And the reason I say New Orleans is because this rivalry with the Falcons has now become very, very big. And the fact that they have a one-up on us has made them very, very obnoxious. Like this rivalry prior to them actually winning the championship was a very cool rivalry. And then all of a sudden, when they won up us, man, they became this obnoxious fan base. Like, okay, you know what? We are the Kings, crown us. We have a championship. You suck kind of situation. And in actuality, that's all you got. You got that one and haven't done anything since. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so that's my top 3. 1A, 1B, and 3. So Banks, I mean, kind of moving fast, so we kind of at the mark, man. Give me your most obnoxious fans.
Well, you stole my thunder. It is definitely Philadelphia. Not just the Eagles. Of course, I follow a lot of baseball. Philly fans are very like, oh gosh, you can't even talk to them, I would throw New York in there in a sense. The Mets don't really have lots to talk about. We know about the Knicks. The Giants fans, they're not as obnoxious as you would think they would be. I think a lot of Giants fans are kind of like, we know what we are, you know what I'm saying? We cool with it, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we still New York though, they got that kind of attitude. But I think the one that you probably didn't say is Boston. Boston is the worst. Like, I don't like Patriot fans. I don't like Celtic fans. I don't like Red Sox fans. They are all the same. They act the same. They feel like they have won and they're going to keep winning. And how dare you beat our team? And, that's like, dude, you're just a team like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you got some trophies in your case.
We'll see, Banks. I think so. That's a whole nother level. We talking about obnoxious, but then Boston fans are entitled. And that's a whole nother conversation. So
you can be entitled, but you don't have to be a dick about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at, when I say Boston, and the first thing I think about when I talk about obnoxious fans is Celtic fans. Like, you are a team that has been playing since 1850. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, of course you're going to get 1,000 championships. You've been playing since there was no net on the goal. Okay, so yes,
no 3-pointer.
So yes, of course, you've been playing forever. So yes, the Boston fans are the worst. I can't, when I think about just fans in general, when you talk about obnoxious, it's a thin line of obnoxious and entitlement. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, then Chicago should feel the same way, but they don't.
How Chicago catch a straight?
I mean, I'm just saying, you talking about entitlement, they got championships in.
Well, I mean, Chicago in comparison to, in my opinion, Chicago in comparison to Boston. I mean, when it comes to championships, when you talk about all of the teams, there's no team, in my opinion, in the United States that can touch, Boston when it comes to
championships. You can throw LA in there. LA got championships.
But that's
in every sport.
But that's the conversation. But and then we'll kind of put a pin in this, and we'll come back to this on the next podcast of what cities actually care, because I feel like LA is one of those cities that I don't know, man. When you talk to LA fans, man, do they care or do they not, or whatever the case may be. So we'll put a pin in the banks. We'll circle back around. So obviously we talked about our most passionate fan bases in cities and our most obnoxious fan bases. But we'll get it back around to fair weather fans in cities that actually do not really care or have, they kind of indifferent when it comes to them teams winning championships, man. So Banks, look, we're at the mark, man. Obviously, man, always good to do a podcast, man. In the same building. Obviously, we're gonna continue to kind of do this, man. Together in the same building, man, to get the energy, man, and talk about what we talk about, man. Banks, let everybody know where they can find you at, my brother.
You can find me at Antoine Jarrell Banks on Facebook or Baby Banks 80 on Instagram.
Man, listen, you can follow ATL 3-Style on every platform that you have, man. Make sure you like and subscribe, YouTube, Twitch. Also, if you're still over there on Facebook, man, definitely follow us and subscribe over there as well, man. We do this, man, and we're going to continue to do this, man, because that's what we like to do. Like Banks said, man, we like to talk about sports, man, and we're very, very passionate about it, man. Listen, this has been another edition of the ATL 3-Style podcast. All right.